Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney,
And I'm MK.
and how are you?
Well, I am trying to find joy in the things that I have. Um,
Good
on
move.
Saturday, I went to a baby shower um, for my friend Amy's baby. And Amy is part of my relay group, and it's so like our the relay is the American Cancer Society like charity stuff that I do.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
Amy and I both got dragged into it by our moms. And so Amy and her best friend Ashley and I, we call ourselves like Relay 2.0, like we're the second generation.
Yeah.
And so Amy's baby is going to be the first member of Relay Generation 3.0, and we're all very, very
Aw.
excited. Um, but I'm really mostly excited because Amy's baby's nursery is themed like space. And so everything that like I got for this baby was alien.
Love.
And we were talking about when we're gonna have babies first Doctor Who. And like I'm just excited for
Yes.
my new alien.
Who is going to be baby's first Doctor Who? It's the new Doctor started, right? Or is
Yeah.
it not? Okay.
Yeah. Well, it'll be actually she's due in April, and the new Doctor's like first season that's not a Christmas episode starts in May. So yeah. Um,
Okay.
but I mean I'm going to educate the baby
Well, of course. Yeah.
and start
Yeah.
at the beginning because that's what you're supposed to,
Mhm.
obviously. And then yesterday was our annual February party at Dan's aunt and uncle's house, and it is the Valentine's Day, Groundhog's Day, Lunar New Year, President's Day. Did I miss any of the holidays? No, that's all the holidays that we celebrated at once. So
They have a lot of parties.
they do have a lot of parties.
That's
Yeah.
fun. I feel like I'm never at parties anymore. I mean, I went to the Super
I
Bowl party last week, but like
I
otherwise.
before Dan's family became a part of my life, I also didn't go to parties. I don't really do that. But they have a party for everything,
That's
which is,
fun though. I like a party.
I mean, yeah, it can be very fun. It can also be a lot. Luckily, they didn't try to have four separate parties for the four separate holidays of
Yeah, that would be
February,
too much.
because I think that they could, if they really, really wanted to, they could make that happen, and they didn't, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, that is very nice of them. Yeah, I
Um,
do not want to go to four separate parties for that, but I'd go to one.
yeah,
Go to one party.
it was great. There was like uh sweet and sour chicken for Lunar New Year, and there was um uh dirt, like the dirt cup pudding with the worms in it with a giant
Dirt and
groundhog on
worms.
it. Yeah, for like with a giant statue of a groundhog on it for Groundhog's Day, and
That's precious.
lots of Valentine's themed things, and it was good. It was nice. So,
I love that.
yeah. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm, I was trying to think of what I did last week, and I have no idea. I have no notion. Um, unless was Tuesday the 13th. Was last week Valentine's Day
Yeah,
of this week we just had? Okay.
that it
Um,
was.
I did go to a new show um on Tuesday. I went and saw with Noelle Sex Jokes and Murder, and it's this short film fest. I mean, not short theater festival that
Yeah.
this place called Sour Grape Productions puts on twice a
Okay.
year. And the writer is one of the people who bought it. It's like in do you know Brooklyn Lofts? Like
Yeah.
the building? Okay. So they bought out like an area of Brooklyn Lofts, and they do theater shows in there and stuff. And it's these like two people
Nice.
that run it. And it's just very small, and it's very like indie theater run. And so what it is they did 4 like 10-minute plays, and then they have like a fan vote, and then whoever the the top winners got, extra money or whatever, but they're all paid. And it's just really cool. And so they're all
Yeah.
the plays were either about um dirty jokes or murder.
Love
And
it.
it was just hilarious. It was really fun. And it was the day that like the office was closed because of the big snowstorm that ended up
Oh
not being
yeah.
quite as big as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Um, and so I really didn't want to leave my house. I was like trying really hard to like
Not have to do
bail on it
that.
without being like, I'm gonna bail on this.
Yeah.
But Noelle was coming from Jersey and she bought the tickets. So I was like, okay, I'm literally
You're like, if
just like
she
I'm
can
in
come
Manhattan. Like
all the
I
way
have to
from
go. I was like, I have to go if she says she wants to go. Like that's
yeah.
not an option. And then it ended up being like I was really glad that we went because it was really fun and it
Nice.
wasn't, I mean, it's always a trek to get into Brooklyn because I had to go down to Union Square to take the L and then it was just I hate the L. But otherwise, it was a really cool space. It was cool people that were doing it. Like it was just really fun. And I like seeing all these like different venues for theater
Very nice.
and
I
whatnot.
actually
So
I forgot that I did have theater in this past week, because I worked Funny Girl,
oh, what'd you think? I
the
still haven't
national
seen it.
tour. The I so Thursday's on the national tour. If you are in a city that is going to get the national tour at some point, Thursday is scheduled understudy night. Katrina has the night off on Thursdays, and I worked Thursday. So I didn't see
Katrina
her.
Link is doing the national tour.
No. Her name is Katrina Schwim or something. Um,
Oh, okay. I was like, that's really right.
she's this is like her first big thing, but people
Got it.
are
Got it. Got it.
losing their minds over her. The understudy's name is Hannah Shankman, and I thought she was amazing, and so I could only imagine what the actual uh lead sounded like. But from everyone who has seen it, it was one of the best shows we've had this year. So,
Nice. Yeah,
and that was even
I
coming from
didn't see
people.
it. We
It was even coming from people who were like Funny Girls, like not my favorite musical. I don't really love the show, but vocally it was outstanding. So,
yeah, I watched like a on like a Broadway HD or something because we
yeah,
covered it on Unseen Artists. And so I watched the movie. It was like the first time I'd seen the movie or any of that. So
yeah,
I now know it, but I didn't see it while it was on Broadway because it was expensive. Because,
yeah,
and Leah Michelle.
yeah.
So
Didn't Beanie take over after Leah left?
no, Beanie Feldstein started it.
Oh, she
So
started
Beanie
and then
Feldstein was the original
It was
role
Beanie
and
and then
she
Leah.
got kicked out basically. And
Yeah,
it was very controversial, like casting switchover.
yeah,
So good times. But yeah, so no, I never saw it, but I'm glad the tour is good. I heard mixed reviews
yeah,
about the Broadway one, so I'm glad the tour's doing
yeah.
well. um, yeah, I need to see another show, but I leave tomorrow for Kansas City, so I will not be seeing any shows this week. I mean, I'll see a lot of shows, but not theater.
No,
A lot of music, a lot of
no,
music shows.
yeah.
But yeah, so I'm just that's me. That's how I'm
Yeah.
feeling. So because I'm a little apathetic, it seems today, what would really help with my mood?
Some spiritual uplifting.
Always, always.
Nice. Sorry, my camera looks weird.
Oh, I was
Okay.
like, you just looked really confused, the camera.
Yeah, I don't like what my camera's doing, but that is
Oh, those
fine.
little lines on the side there.
Yeah. What is
I
that?
just noticed those. I don't know. It's only on the right side though.
Yeah. Something
Hmm,
wrong with my camera. I might have to lose my mind. Anyway,
that's fine.
my quote says, "Blessed are they who see beautiful things in humble places where other people see nothing." Camille
That's
Pissarro.
nice.
Yeah.
That's a nice one.
Yeah.
So, as you can imagine, there were so many beautiful things in this episode.
Yeah.
So, perfect quote.
Perfect.
Because today,
To be fair, let me tell you, this episode ended and I go, what number episode was that? And Dan goes, I think it was said 8 on the screen. I go, oh, that makes sense. It's halfway through because everything ended too happy. Like as happy as
yeah,
this show could be.
right. Yeah, it
Didn't
was
love it.
like your little glimmer of hope
Yeah, like nothing.
episode, right?
There were some horrible things that happened in this episode. I'm not saying it was a good, positive episode, but everything kind of like was pointing upward
North, yeah.
trajectory, and I was like, I don't. I don't trust it. No.
Yeah, no, it's always strange when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yep. So let's get into it before we get to next week's, which I forgot to read the description, but I read the title and I think I know what it's about,
Oh,
and it's not good enough.
I didn't give you any clues on Sunday about what was coming up. I forgot.
Oh my God, do you know what's coming up?
Hmm.
Like, do we want to infiltrate this episode and tell me what's
Yeah. If you need a mini spoiler for the next episode of Stargate involves them doing something that they explicitly had decided they were never going to do.
that feels very open-ended. Like I feel like
Oh, I know.
everything.
Yeah, but
I feel like
I'm
everything
giving
they decide they're not gonna do, they're gonna do.
I made it I made it deliberately
Ugh,
open-ended because more than that,
anything.
if I gave you more than that, it would be too obvious.
Let me see. So if you have any idea about this super vague spoiler for next week, stay tuned for the next episode, which will be Sci-Fi Sunday.
Yeah.
Um, but for today, we are doing American Horror Story Asylum, episode 8, which is called Unholy Night. And is it ever? It aired December 5th, 2012, which is the day. It's it's
It's
the
a
big
day.
German holiday that people leave
No.
their shoes out at
St. Nicholas
night.
Day is the 6th.
But you leave them out the night of the
Oh, the
5th to
night of
go
the
into
5th.
the
Yeah,
6th.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Valid.
Yeah, because one of
Okay.
my closest friends, her birthday's the 5th. And I learned because there was a German family that I was friends with. So I learned about this whole like big holiday. And I was like, it's your birthday, but not really. And now I get presents too.
Right.
So it was fun. It was a good time. Yeah. And then it was rated 8.5 out of 10, which frankly feels a little high for this episode. I think
I would,
everyone was just in the spirit.
yeah.
Like it was fine, but like I think this might be one of our higher rated ones for the season. And I don't think that's correct. But we have all new number ones, so that's exciting. That never happens. We have finally left Maroon 5, but don't worry, we have made it to one of the most annoying songs of all time in my mind, that everyone else loves. It's Diamonds by Rihanna.
Yeah.
And it will probably for the rest of all time be the number one song. Um, the number one movie is Skyfall. So we've left
Oh,
Twilight.
yeah.
And the number one book is Notorious 19 by Janet Ivanovich, who we have spoken many times because she has
Yes.
so many
So
of them, and they've
many.
all hit number one.
Yeah. And like in Stargate Land, we are on like the 7th book in this series.
Yeah.
By the time we're on American Horror Story Land, we're on the 19th book in her series.
Right.
So
So she just like is standing tall forever. Like,
yeah.
ugh, forever. So here's what happened on this day. I started with some very like mild news of like, I don't really know what happened. And then just like
Yeah.
so many things happened.
Right.
So here we go. Um, Dave Brubeck, who is an American jazz composer, who probably a few people know, but like I know, he
Yeah.
died today at 91.
Oh.
Um, there was in Oaxaca. Oaxaca. I looked up how to say this. It's the Mexican state, Oaxaca.
Oh yeah, I can never say it correctly.
Oaxaca, I
I
think.
That's one of the few things where like I'm pretty good with languages,
Oaxaca?
but yeah, I think I'm pretty
I
good with
think it's
languages,
Oaxaca.
but the Aztec like X I still cannot do correctly.
I did look it up and before because I was like, I'm gonna have to say this. I think it's Oaxaca is how you say
That
it.
sounds
Um,
correct.
yeah. And today it was found that the ban on same-sex marriages was found illegal.
Oh, good. Okay.
So Mexico kicking it into gear. Um, this is not going to matter to anyone but Mary Kate. Um, there is there was a Sydney-based radio station that prank called a hospital in England to pretend to be Queen Elizabeth and Prince Charles to check on the Duchess of Cambridge, who was in the hospital then, and got away with it. And it was, I mean, obviously, eventually they were found out, but
Yeah.
like it was so random. And I was like, that is
I
what
actually
a thing to just
think
put in the news for that day.
actually think I remember when that happened.
was like, it feels like something that you would
Yeah.
appreciate.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I actually remember that.
And for me and my Louisiana friends, this is the day that the New Orleans Hornets changed their name to the Pelicans. So that's our basketball team.
No, I know because I remember when there was, wait, wasn't the Charlotte Hornets? Didn't the Hornets used to be in Charlotte?
Okay. I don't know anything about
I'm very bad.
anything.
I don't know anything about basketball either.
Is that
But
a is that a baseball Charlotte Hornets instead of
no, they're basketball. Huh, hold
hmm,
on. You keep telling me news. I'm gonna look them up.
okay. Well, that's all the news, but I'll go through the people that have not changed since
Okay,
then.
great.
The director is Michael Lehman, who
Okay.
we know from he also directed Smoldering Children of season one. If you recall, there's a lot of fire and smoke. Our writer is James Wong, we've talked about quite a few times. Our editor is Adam Penn, who is also talked about quite a few times. Um, did you find an answer before I deep dive into our guest star?
Yeah, the Charlotte Hornets were a basketball in the NBA, and then in 2004 they changed their name to the Charlotte Bobcats. And the New Orleans Hornets existed from 2002 to they started in 2002. So for 2002 and 2003 there were two teams in the NBA called the Hornets.
That was the dumbest thing that they could have done.
Well, yeah, because the Charlotte Hornets are still the Charlotte Hornets. Like,
I have no idea. It was like 10 years that then that
oh no, I'm sorry. The Charlotte Hornets became the Bobcats in 2004 to 2014, and now they don't exist anymore. Wait, yeah. Oh no, they do. They're back to the Hornets again. In 2014, they turned back into the Hornets after the
maybe
Pelicans.
that's
Maybe there was
why they switched to
confusion. They
Pelicans.
can change their name, and then there was issues, and then they went back after the Pelicans became the Pelicans.
Yeah, because
But
the
for 2 years,
Pelicans,
there were two teams called the Hornets.
that's so funny. Yeah, they were announced they were going to be the Pelicans 2012, but they didn't actually start till the 2013 season. So that
Yeah.
makes sense. They like had a season and then
Yeah.
Charlotte took their name back.
Yeah.
What a time. What a time.
Sorry, I just got because I
Yeah.
lived in Charlotte. Lived in Charlotte as a kid, so
Oh,
like
right.
I knew that, and I had a stuffed animal of the blue and purple Charlotte Hornet, and I was like, no, 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 it definitely is a basketball team. We were both correct, and the NBA is fucked up.
Yeah, the NBA was just wrong the whole time for like a whole 2 years. That was when people didn't use the internet as much, as we mentioned in last week's episode. So, um, so our guest star
Yeah.
is Ian McShane, who plays Santa. He has a different name. I think it's Leaf or something like,
Lee. It's
but
Lee.
Lee.
GH.
Yeah, but I just call him Santa the entire episode because
Valid.
that's who he is.
Yeah.
He is known for
This is how it actually happened with Ian McShane. On the pause screen before the episode starts, it's his face in the Santa hat. And I go, is that Joe Pesci? Why would Joe Pesci be in an episode of American Horror Story? And
it is not Joe Pesci.
I go, no, it's not Joe Pesci, but it's somebody who kind of looks like Joe Pesci. I know that fucking guy's
That's
face.
fair.
And so then Dan Googles the episode for me, so I obviously don't have to Google the episode and like see any spoilers or anything. And then he reads it and he goes, Ian McShane. I go, oh, he's in all the John Wick and the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I do know him. Okay, got it. But I really thought it was Joe Pesci.
Very much not Joe Pesci, but I do see the confusion and I totally understand. I don't remember who I thought it was the first time, but I also thought it was someone that was not Ian McShane.
Yeah.
And I got really confused. But no, as you said, he's known for Deadwood. He's known for all the Pirates movies. He plays Blackbeard. He is known for Kung Fu Panda and Snow White and the Huntsman and the John Wick movies. It just wasn't in his top four. He took 40 years to be in the business before he had international fame, which is what he did with Deadwood. That's why it says like number one.
Yeah.
his favorite shows are Family Guy and The Simpsons.
Love it.
Um, and his father was a famous footballer, and so
Okay.
he thought because his one of his parents is English and one of them is Irish. I think his dad was the Irish one because it's McShane. So I
Yeah, that
think
I
his
would
dad was
think
Irish.
also.
Um, so he also thought about becoming a famous footballer, and then he was not good enough, and so he didn't do that.
Oh, that's so
Um,
sad.
I know. He didn't in the notes. It didn't seem like he was that upset about it. I mean, he's a famous actor now, so like he's
Right.
doing okay. Um, he was born at exactly 3 a.m., the
Oh,
witching
sorry. His
hour.
father is not Irish. His father is Scottish. And
Scottish.
his mother is both English and Irish. So
Okay, that's where it
that's,
was.
I was like, let me just,
Yeah.
in case anyone thinks that we don't know the difference between Scottish and English pe or
Oh
and
no,
Irish
yeah.
people. No, yeah.
Yeah. I just can't tell the difference between notes I've read and remembered. So that's the brain and reading don't go together. But yeah, he was born exactly 3 a.m. the witching hour, so
To
perfect
be
for playing
fair,
evil roles.
to be fair, Mick Shane is an Irish sounding name, not a Scottish
Yeah,
sounding name. So that's a valid confusion.
right. That's like I know a bit about the Irish and
Yeah, you
Scottish
got a friend
worlds.
or two. Yeah, a friend or
I know a couple of those people. Um, but yeah, and he also has a photographic memory. So we are very different people.
don't tell
Um,
Doug because Doug doesn't think that exists.
oh, okay. Well, Doug, that's not true. I haven't said that. Um, no, it's amazing. It's the most amazing phenomenon. Like there's nothing that and perfect pitch. Photographic memory and perfect pitch are the two things that I will never understand and always be amazed by. So,
See, the one that I will never understand and always be amazed by is synesthesia.
oh my God. So my coworker has that. And
I'm
we talked
obsessed.
about it. I learned this last year when I was in Kansas City. And we just like talked at him and we were like, what color does this taste like? We were like, we had this like big spread of like barbecue food. We're like, what does this taste like? What does this one taste like? And he's also an artist. So I keep telling him, I'm like, I want you to make an album that's just color titles of the songs and it'd be like a synesthesia. I'm like, ugh, I had this whole thing.
I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed.
I'm like, I have a great PR promo for him. He has not followed through yet,
No,
but
of course not. But I would be down.
I'm not his manager.
Oh, yeah, no, but synesthesia, that is the most fascinating thing for me.
Ugh, it's wild. I don't understand it, but I love it. Um, sorry. Noelle's making me a key for her house since I'm always there with my dog. And she just told me it has a kitten on it. And the first thing I thought was literally like everyone's trying to kill me because I'm allergic to cats, for those of you who don't know.
Yeah.
Um, and that probably was her thought process, but it's fine. So we start this episode with Ian McShane. We have this random mother and child walking down the streets of Christmas time, and they go up to the Santa who's a Salvation Army guy ringing a bell,
I
collecting money.
very confused at this point because obviously I knew the episode was about Christmas.
None of
I
these
saw
people.
I well, first of all, I knew none of those people. And then also the still shot before you play the episode is Ian McShane dressed as Santa, clearly looking like
Mhm.
he is not a good person.
Right.
But this Santa, so I was like immediately on guard, assumed Santa was going to be a terrible person. But then this Santa was so fucking nice that I was like, what is happening? I don't understand.
No, I had that same confusion because I did not remember how this episode started. And like I remembered the like premise of it, but I
Yeah.
was like, doesn't he kill people? Why is he being so friendly? And then I was like, this isn't the right guy that plays Santa.
I was like,
I
that's
was
a
very
yeah.
confused.
I was
So,
also confused. I was like, I don't, he's so nice to that little boy. Is he gonna follow them home and murder them? What? Why is he being so
right, that's what
nice?
because that's what I remembered being the
Yeah,
plot. And so
right.
I was like, I don't think this doesn't feel right. But don't worry, very, very quickly we learned that there's another random guy who is Ian McShane who comes up and tells Santa that he never blames himself for anything. He's like, you promise all these things to these little boys and girls, and but what happens if they don't get it? He was like, well, if he's good enough, his mom will get it. And if and if he doesn't get it, then he's gonna blame himself. No one's gonna blame me. He's like, you never take the blame for yourself, and then just straight up shoot Santa. Like,
Which, listen, I have problems with this on multiple issues. And one of them is that I don't understand why he shot Santa. That's the number one issue. But we will get to that. The number two issue is why would you just accost a Santa for ruining like a mall Santa as a grown adult who knows that like a Salvation Army Santa is not really Santa? Like that feels weird. But
Yeah,
third, actually, you're right. The kids will never blame Santa. They will blame themselves. But then they will also grow up with massive psychological trauma about not being good enough to get anything
yeah,
from Santa. And that is one of the reasons why, PSA to everyone out there, it's very nice if Santa gives kids nice presents. That's great. But some kids don't get nice presents, and it really sucks when Santa buys one kid the most expensive thing in the world and one kid nothing. So you should, as a parent, take credit for that one really expensive gift. Just so that your kid doesn't then go to school and make the homeless kid in his class cry. Like,
exactly. Yeah, Santa gives socks and chocolate. That's the
right.
way to go. You
Yeah, I
know.
mean, and here's the thing, like I get it, like sometimes it's hard because like you, mom and dad didn't get it and like grandma gave you some money so that Santa could give the kids an extra Christmas present this year because you're going through some rough stuff and like I get it and you want to make magic for the kids and it's nice and but there has to be some kind of boundary. Like you
Yeah,
can't have Santa give $7,000 worth of presents to your kid and then you give them a book. Like you have to balance what
right.
is you're taking credit for and what you're giving Santa credit for, because otherwise the kids are going to have a very skewed version of reality. And they already
Yeah,
do because the world's fucked up. So like,
right.
and
No, my
I don't
parents always
want,
gave me like the physically biggest things were from Santa because they didn't want to figure out how to wrap them. So like that was their logic. They were like, this big Barbie dream house, this does not get wrapped easily. So we're just gonna open it up and put it out. I got a bike. The bike is from Santa because I don't know how to wrap this. Like that
that's
those were the things I
amazing.
got from Santa.
No, we got things like video games and stuff, but like it would be like Santa gave me and all of my siblings, all four of us, a GameCube, and then each of us got a GameCube game as a gift. And like so we would have like family presents from Santa and then individual presents from Santa. And like sure,
Yeah, I think my mom switched
they
to
weren't the
family presents
cheapest.
later.
Yeah, they weren't like the cheapest presents under the tree, but like then my parents would give us like a card with like $200 cash in it. That wasn't from Santa, that was from my parents. Like,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I just literally got whatever was the thing that was too big to wrap.
no,
And that
Santa
was my
wrapped
Santa
presents.
present.
Santa wrapped presents, and Santa had different wrapping paper than mom and dad. And every kid
Mm.
had different wrapping paper from Santa because my mom was crazy.
So that's really funny. And I mean, sometimes that's what you gotta do. I now like my parents, we all just use my parents' wrapping paper when we go over there. So all the
Yeah.
presents are the exact same wrapping paper, no matter who they came from or where they're going, because that's what's at the house and no one else is buying wrapping paper.
Um,
But no, my parents like never wrapped anything from Santa except what was in the stocking was in the stocking.
Dan's brother, um, doesn't let you rip wrapping paper. He wants to save every single piece of wrapping paper, so he'll
Oh,
use the
that's the
same
worst.
piece of wrapping paper for like 8 years because he just every piece of paper is saved exactly the way it was put on the present.
No, absolutely not. That is too much work. That is too much effort.
So much
Ugh,
work.
so much work. I
But your
remember when
parents
Rachel
wouldn't even
tried to do
wrap the
that.
presents.
No, my parents were like, no, this doesn't wrap correctly, therefore it's from Santa now. And it's on the fireplace. You can see it when you walk in the room. Like that's the one. Like I think I got like a basketball one year from Santa because you can't wrap a basketball. Like it's yeah,
That's
no,
what gift
that's
bags were made for.
no, well, no, we didn't use gift bags, God forbid. It was wrapped or not. Those were your options. Those were the only two options you had.
It's amazing.
And that's also how you knew which one came from Santa and which one didn't. If it was unwrapped,
Perfect.
it came from Santa because he just dropped it off.
I love it.
So
Um,
Yeah.
I also love that we went from Ian McShane shooting someone in the face to all that.
Look, I just want it to be Christmas again. I understand we
I
just finished
know.
that, but like I'm already ready again.
No, but if it was Christmas, then it would almost be my wedding.
That's fine too.
I know.
Yeah. I know. I need it to be October again. I get to like March, April, and I'm like, okay, I'm still okay, I'm still okay. And then like April really hits, and I'm like, ugh, when is it
No.
October again?
I
Like,
don't want to skip this summer. This summer, I really don't actually want to skip because my sister's wedding is in June. And so, like,
sure,
skipping that.
yeah, that's fine, I guess. I would like to skip every summer,
I know.
all
You
of the
don't
time.
see it.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And there's no happy times. Like, where am I like Christmas and Thanksgiving and birthday and none of that is in the summertime. So, that's all I want.
Um, yeah, maybe a sandwich.
Oh, nice. That was
Um,
very sweet of him. So you don't
I
starve to death.
I mean, 4th of July is a happy time.
No, 4th of July is stupid. It sucks.
Well, you clearly have never met
It's
my
hot.
family.
I've had so many different 4th of July celebrations in my life. Like I've been on the lake, I've been at home. I've gone and done all of the
Yeah.
different 4th of July holidays and like they're not Christmas. There's no snow. There's no like what is our music? Redneck Yacht Club? Like listen, I don't know what you're playing for 4th of July that is
I
nearly
mean,
as fun as
this year,
Christmas music.
everybody's 4th of July playlist better be exclusively Jimmy Buffett and Toby Keith.
Absolutely. Like there's no other options.
Right.
So, but that's still not Christmas. Like that's fishing music. So I can go do that. I'll listen to that while I go fishing.
Okay.
Um, so but no, skip all the summer holidays. I don't need any of them. Um, so now that we still haven't made it to the credits yet, it is 1962. And the there oh okay, so we're in the house now, and this small child wakes up, and there is a new creepy Santa in her house playing with a train. Turns out it's her dad's train, and it's very cute. Great Christmas setup.
Yeah.
Um, and she's like, "Why are you here?" And he's like, "Christmas." And she's like, "It's not Christmas today." And he's like, "Ah, Rudolph made the calendar." And I was like, "You're saying all the right things to the small child, but you only feel creepy still."
Yeah.
Like, and then of course they bring up the blood that's on his suit.
Yeah.
He's like, "Don't worry, that's not Santa's blood." You don't not like, "Oh, it's ketchup." Like you're gonna tell the child, you're gonna confirm that it's blood and that
Yeah.
it's not yours.
100%.
Not ideal for Santa. And so
Mm.
he's like, "Here, take me to your parents." And because she's a child and doesn't know any different, she does. I mean, what else is she gonna do though? Like let him kill her?
Right.
And he goes, the parents are awoken, and he ties them up, and he says he chose this house specifically because of all the decorations. And he's like, "Dad," he's like, "What's wrong with a little Christmas spirit?" And I was like, "Bless you, but it is not the time. You are about to die. And we are
Yeah.
not talking about Christmas spirit right now." Um, and then he says he's not leaving toys, but he's leaving terror and rape. And I was like, that's not ideal for Christmas. And
No.
then he just shoots both of them because he's not feeling very Christmassy, so he just shoots them both. And then we go to the credits. So this was also a pretty long intro.
It was.
Um,
It was also very weird because I didn't know a single character in any of it. Like I'm used to
yeah.
the time jump with the credits,
Hmm.
but I had no connection to any of these people, and then everyone was just being shot. And I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, it's a what a way to start an episode. Yeah, episode 8, man. Here we are. Um, so we come back from the credits. Nothing really new happened in the credits. So
Mm-mm.
we're at Christmas at Briarcliff. We are in the today times. Well, the today of our show times. And Sister Mary Eunice has decided she's bringing Christmas back, even though Sister Jude had canceled it the year before. And so she brings in a tree. She is taking people's dentures to hang them up in the tree, hanging up water bottles, like hanging up like canisters, like just hanging random things
Cutting
from
people's
the
fucking hair off to hang it on the tree.
yeah, she's cutting all of the hair with bows on it off and hanging on the tree. And Arden like walks in, like happy Christmas time, and then like is watching this and just like turns around and leaves. And I was like, you are usually someone I don't agree with, but that would also probably be what I would do. I'd be like,
I
there's no other option.
I this episode I was remembering distinctly when Monica told me that I was going to change my mind about a lot of people in this show. And I was like, "Oh my God, am I starting to understand Arden?" Don't worry, that feeling went away. But
Right. But for a moment, you worried.
for a
You
moment, I was
worried.
like, "What? Why is he
Yeah.
the only one with
Yeah.
any sense in this room?"
I know. I know. Which is not ideal. Not ideal for when he has the most sense.
Yeah.
Um, but we pop over to Frank, and he is standing over Grace's body and praying, and then her eyes suddenly open and he's thrown back, and then they're closed again like it never happened. And then Arden walks in. So Frank is just a little on edge at this moment. And he
Because he's
tells him,
feeling
he's like,
so guilty about killing her. It's
I know, bless
awful.
his heart. And like he shouldn't have shot Kit either, but he did think he was doing the right thing at the time.
Yeah.
So he didn't really do anything wrong per se. Um, but he tells Arden he wants to call the police. He's like, we just have to report that this happened. He's like, it's so terrible. And Arden tries to threaten him, and he's like, but then they're gonna find out like what you've done. You're gonna be held responsible. And he's like, I'll take the blame if that's what it is, because he feels so guilty. And like, that's sweet. He is the least like he is the person that's the least guilty of doing anything wrong, but he's the most
Great.
willing because he actually does have a kind heart. Bless
Yeah,
him.
because he's like a fucking human being who's just doing his job.
Yeah.
And like he's an
And so
old
we,
school Boston Irish cop. Like he's hard on people because that's what you have to be. Like,
yeah, but he cares.
yeah.
He cares. So we go to Sister Jude, who has come back to Briarcliff, and she walked in and starts threatening to slit Sister Mary's throat. And I was like, do it. Just do it. Like, I mean, I know that's not the solution because it's a demon. It's gonna like find its way out, but
But no, but
at the
okay, this
moment,
this scene had some very important information that makes so much sense. That we find out that Sister Jude has figured out that the demon is only able to survive and be in the church and say all those things and like wear the cross and listen to the Christmas music and act a fucking fool because it's using Sister Mary Eunice's
mhm,
insane levels of purity as a shield. Like, because in terms of like corruption, Sister Mary Eunice is at like a level negative 62 because she like is so
right.
terrified and awkward and wants to be good. So the demon's like, perfect host.
Yeah, exactly. And so when she's learning all of this, she's like, I'm gonna slit your throat, but then where are you gonna go? And she's like, well, I could go into you. And I was like, 'cause truthfully, maybe Judah's the next best one out of all these people.
Yeah,
And
but Jude is too, she's not innocent enough.
she's not. She's got a little bit too much going on that it would sustain the
It
same way
wouldn't, yeah.
as if with Sister Mary Eunice. Um, but then the devil starts pulling canes out and starts breaking plates and getting ready to like bring terror on Jude, it seems. And then the somebody walked in, I think it was Arden, and Sister Mary says to call security, and Jude is just dragged out by security at this point. And Arden brings up his concerns to Sister Mary about Frank, and he's like, he's starting to feel guilty. He's starting to like want to call the police, want to call the authorities. We have to do something about him. And Sister Mary's like, it's fine, we'll take care of it. And then goes and pulls Santa out. I was like, we are going downhill.
Oh yeah.
So we have a quick flashback to 1963 Christmas. And this is Santa's first Christmas at Briarcliff. And they're getting ready to take this Christmas picture. And he's like, you're trying to put on this big facade that like everyone's better here than on the street. And Sister Jude's like, absolutely not. She's like, no, I want to remind everyone that they're safe because you're all locked up here
Correct.
and you can't get away. Like that they're better off because you're here, not you. And
Yeah.
we have Sean, who is looks like one of the nurses, is handing out presents and wearing a Santa hat to all
Mhm.
the patients. And Santa loses his mind and attacks Sean and like
Bites
bites
his
his
neck
face
open.
off.
Oh,
Like he just starts attacking him and biting everything off of him. So then we jump back to today, where he's now being brought out again.
Mhm.
And we also learn when he's talking to Sister Mary that there is a reason that he is the way he is and why he hates Christmas. And it's because he was arrested for petty theft at a young age and thrown into jail. And it was Christmas time when he was raped by multiple inmates. And then he was, when his time was up, just thrown back out in the streets again. And that's what kind of kicked off his hatred of Christmas and, killing people. And so Sister Mary's telling him, like, is encouraging him to basically go
Mhm.
kill more. She's like, do what you do best. And he says, yeah, he always is known who's naughty or nice, and he's always known kind of how to take care of it. And she was like, absolutely, absolutely, you have. And
Sure. That's what that is.
yeah, yeah. So we go back to Art and Mary, our dream team here, who are chatting about times gone by. And Sister Mary's talking about her childhood and how like nice Christmas was. And she asks Arden if he ever had Christmas in his Nazi household. And I was like, yeah, well, that's a way.
I
And it
mean,
turns out that he did.
as I say, to be fair, Nazis were Aryan Christian Germans.
Right.
So I'm sure he had very lovely Christmases. Like,
Yeah, yeah, I would imagine
I
so.
mean, like maybe not
Um,
during the war, but
right, right. Um, but it turns out that he came to talk to her about Christmas because he got her a present. And he presents her with these like ruby earrings, and she is just in love with them. She was like, this is
yeah.
the nicest. She was like, are they real? Like, people don't even sell rubies around here. And it turns out that he got them from a rich Jewish woman from the camps. So these are murderous earrings. But it
Yeah.
turns out that she had these earrings because they wanted to remind herself that she was still this like rich, high-powered woman, even if she was stuck in a camp.
Yeah.
And so every day, like she would eat the earrings and
That's
then
the most tragic story I've ever heard.
my God, it's so sad. And then once she would pass them, obviously she would find them again and
Yeah.
then swallow them again. And due to this like earrings passing through her body, she ended up with internal bleeding. And so really the earrings ended up causing her to die. And Arden found them and has kept them all this time. And she's just so amazed and so pleased with the story. And he said that in reality he was hoping that this would horrify her
Yeah.
and it would
He
be
was like,
like, and I was like, you've given murder earrings to the devil and you think that it's going to be horrifying for her?
he
Like,
just, I mean, he just wanted his sister Mary Eunice back.
I know. And she would be horrified. And
Yeah.
he's like, just bring back the woman who like couldn't even eat an apple my candy apple. And like, and
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't want him to have anything he wants, but I do want Sister Mary Eunice to have her body back, for her
Yeah, for
sake.
sure.
So we go back to Lana, who we are now seeing for the first time this episode, and she is just sitting in bed and vomiting. And the nun that's sitting with her, she's like, "Ugh, I'm sorry they don't wash their hands in this kitchen. Like I keep telling them people are gonna get sick." And Lana's like, I haven't even eaten any food. She's like, I'm just upset. I was like,
Yeah,
okay, that
right.
feels like the way you said it feels very dramatic for your actions. I understand that it makes sense for her to be throwing up because of the reason she's upset,
Mhm.
but
Yep.
it feels like she's just sitting there. She's like, I'm upset, so I'm throwing up. And we're like, that just feels dramatic. But it's not. And then she starts hearing someone else in a bed nearby, and the nun's like, oh no, it's fine. There's nothing. She's like, okay. Um, so then
So
we
then
go to the
obviously she
convent.
immediately gets up and walks over there.
Yeah, right. And so we go to the convent, and Mother Superior is telling Jude she can't just go back to Briarcliff. And she's like, no, you have to let me back in. Like all these things are happening. I want to go back. I'm ready. Like, and God wants to bring me back. And Jude is just so upset.
Yeah.
And then in the midst of all of this and learning that she can't go back and that things can't change, she learns she was a visitor. So she goes into the church and it's Arden, which is the last
0%
person you
expected
expect.
that. Yeah.
Right. And he tells her that this whole time she's been right about Sister Mary. And, he's sorry for doubting her. He can't believe that all of these things have happened, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he's like, so she immediately tells him to go to hell because obviously, that's
Mm,
what you should tell someone who's treated you like this way. And then he
correct.
tells her that he's like, I don't believe in God, but I do believe in evil. And this is true evil. And
Yeah.
he's like, and he just like begs her to help him. So we go back to Briarcliff, and the Monsignor is there helping decorate. He's brought this beautiful um star to put on the top of the tree. He's very impressed with Sister Mary. He says she's really turned the place around. She's an incredible leader. Doesn't matter that she's the devil. And he's like, I'm not even concerned about Santa being free because you really have seemed to like change things up. He like even he seems good. And then he's like saying really creepy stuff to this other woman, but it's fine.
Yeah.
So
I
like clearly he's not
the
mad at her.
level with which it was not lost on me that this priest was worried about show and not content of character.
Yeah.
I felt it
Yep.
personally. It
It's a true thing that
was
happens.
attacked.
And we learned that they're going to watch Rudolph, which earlier in the episode we learned Sister Jude was very upset about because it has nothing to do with Nativity or Jesus. And
Yeah.
Christmas is being ruined by these commercial elements. But that's exactly what Sister Mary is going to show
It's
everyone.
yeah.
So then we go to Kit and Alma, and Kit is
I
bringing
mean,
home a
to be
Christmas tree.
fair, Rudolph premiered in 1964. It was the first time it was ever on TV. So,
Yeah, and I mean everyone should have watched it. I love Rudolph. There's nothing wrong with watching a
oh
little
yeah,
Rudolph at
no.
Christmas
The
time.
original claymation Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer premiered on December 6th, 1964. So,
Ugh, perfect. Yeah. So good timing on the show's part because a lot of times they are off on their ears
right,
with theirs.
correct.
So
But this one was
so way to
good.
go. Yeah. So Kit is bringing in the tree and almost pregnant, and they're having this beautiful little family Christmas time, and then almost swiftly turns into Grace, and then he starts like panicking and being like super apologetic, being like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I should have never come back. I'm the reason you're dead." And she's like, "No, everything's super fine." And then
Great.
we go back to reality, and Lana is
Yeah,
waking
that
him up.
scene was very confusing. And then I'm glad that it was told us that he was drugged because I was very sad.
Yeah, and so Lana wakes him up and is seeing that he's drugged, and she realizes the fact that he's here and there's a manhunt going on, has been going on, and he's still here as opposed to being caught by anyone, means that no one knows they're there and no one's talking about him or her. And so
Right.
then he thought she was Grace at first because he's drugged, doesn't really know what's going on. And she's like,
Yeah.
no, it's Lana. And she's like, I haven't even seen Grace. And he's like, oh right, she's dead. And she's like, oh, okay.
Oh,
Um,
great. Cool, cool, cool. Love it.
yeah. So Lana starts telling about threads and she's like, you're gonna be fine. We're gonna like protect you because I have real proof that he's the one who's been doing all this.
Hmm.
She's going to find a phone and she tells Kit that she's there for him and she's coming back. Which is very sweet and only too little too late. If she would have just believed from the beginning, we never would have had this issue. But
But
she
it's
had to.
great.
So really, this is all Lana's fault from that very
Uh-huh.
first moment when she yelled in the hallway.
Uh-huh.
In case no one remembered, I'd like to remind you that she's the reason all of this is happening. So we go to Arden, who has convinced Jude that he wants to work with her. He sneaks her into Briarcliff. And she's like, I see you like kept your word, like everything's fine. And then she's like, bring Sister Mary to my office so I can talk to her. And he's like, great, on it. So we go to the common area where the Monsignor is still singing her praises. And he's like, here's this. And she's like, Frank's going to put the star up. Everything's fine. So Frank's on the ladder, getting ready to put the star up.
Yep.
And Santa loses it. He like knocks him off the ladder and starts trying to then eat him like he has everyone else.
Uh,
And he did get away
it's
quick enough
such
because there
a
were enough people.
weird.
Yeah.
I don't understand like eating
The
as
cannibalism aspect.
yeah,
Yeah.
not a fan.
I don't really know either. No. But he's fine. He's just got a few scratches and he starts, punching him
Which
back and then rifles through
I
town.
when he attacked Frank with the star, I gasped. I was like, "Oh my God, no, not Frank."
I know.
Then
I
Frank
know. He's
wasn't
the only one
dead.
that's got any sense.
Frank wasn't dead, and
And
my heart stopped beating 150 miles per
yeah.
hour.
But he does get away and he Sister Mary tells him to put him in solitary. So he's like, great, we'll do that. And then Arden
Yeah.
tells her that there's a pressing matter in her office, which we all know is Sister Jude, but
Yeah.
she doesn't at this moment, or so she
Or at
says.
least we don't
So,
think she does.
right. So then we go back to Lana and she's found a phone and she starts trying to dial out. But unfortunately, right behind her is Oliver Thredson, who
I literally
has
screamed at the
found her.
TV. I said, "Why are you here?"
Yep. So we go back to solitary where we're putting Santa up and he has been locked away and Frank is like, good riddance. We are like killing it.
Doing our thing.
And doing our thing. And then Sister Mary um turns around, or he turns around, Sister Mary's there and she's like, did you have any issues with him? And he's like, absolutely not. And he's like, everything is fine, we're doing great. And she's like, oh, I thought you might have some issues with him, and just slits his throat. So we just were thinking he was gonna be fine, and now he's clearly
You
not.
know, that was the worst double shock ever because I had
Yeah,
finally started breathing again, and then
right.
a little JK.
Yeah, JK. And then she takes Santa out of solitary and puts him in Jude's office and locks him in. And it turns out that Arden was double crossing her the whole time. And
And
so,
I
because
really
they knew they
don't
had
know
to do it.
why I thought for a second that wasn't going to be true. I really
No.
was starting to question my own sanity because I thought
Yeah.
he wasn't insane
Yeah.
for like a
Well, we've
split
seen it
second.
before. We've seen people flip on a dime. So,
Ah,
but this wasn't one of those times. And
oh,
she gave Santa a knife. And so Jude is, of course, freaking out and she's offering to pray with him. She's like, this doesn't have to be the end. And of course, he's not on board.
no.
So we go back to Lana again, and Dresden is telling her how everything is her fault because he had to get rid of Bloody Face. He scrubbed his house, so there's no sign of Bloody Face there now, which is unfortunate for us.
Yeah.
Um, and he was like, I was even gonna let you talk because like, what are they gonna do? They're gonna believe you, who's stuck
Or
in a mental institute, over me, who has a clean house and is a doctor. And then he decides that he changed his mind because she's guilty of everything that's ever happened to him.
yep,
And
it's her fault.
so, right, so he can't just let her get away. And he has also decided that that means she's going to be the impetus to starting a new bloody face because he's going to use her skin to start this new bloody face. And
So
then
great.
our savior,
What we love to
Kit,
see.
steps in. He bursts in, knocks him over. We pop over to Santa and Jude, and he's like remembering all the times that she caned him and said like we have to like lighten you up before, so like it's easier for God to get into you. And so he is going to cane her now. It's a whole situation.
Right.
And then Lana, we go back and they have now like, wrangled up Thredson, and
Yeah,
Lana tells Kit they have to kill him. She's like, this is it. We have to get rid of him so it's safer. The Kit, being the only one with any common sense, is like, no,
100%.
absolutely not. If he dies, I also die. Like, he is
He
my
was like,
only
he was
proof
my only
that I'm
proof
not bloody
that, yeah,
face. Yeah. And so he's like, no, we have to keep him alive. Like, we can't let him free, but we have to keep him alive.
correct.
Um, then we have a brief moment where we go to the tunnels, and Arden is taking Grace down there to
What
do
the fuck
whatever he
was
does in the
this
tunnels.
scene?
And then lights start flickering, and we see
The
some
alien
quick screen
hands?
grabs of alien hands, and then Grace is calm. And then we go back to Sister Jude, and he's trying to cane her when she sees the knife that he initially brought in and grabs it and kills him. So for a brief moment, Sister Jude is safe. Grace has
Yeah,
been taken away by the aliens, so she's not going to become one of
the monster
not
food.
be food, right? And then we go back to Lana and Kit, and they've hidden Threston in this room that apparently no one uses. Kit's like, yeah, no one comes in here.
He's
We're
like, have
just
you
gonna
seen how
put up
much
all of
dust
these
is in
like
this room?
mattresses. Yeah. And Lana tells Kit, she's like, you go back to the infirmary so no one like is looking for you. And then we end the episode with her telling Threadston that one day she's going to bury him. And that is our ending, which felt a little lackluster based on the rest of the episode, but
Yeah, it did, but it
you know,
also, like I said, it was kind of that moment where like everything was headed upward,
yeah.
which made me assume it must have been the halfway point.
Yeah,
Because
we're like roughly at our like
things can only go
we're
down
just
from there.
past yeah, our halfway point. We're gonna have this episode, probably next episode will have a little bit of a similar lackluster feel
Yeah.
with everything, just because then we'll turn around to our last few episodes, the 10, 11, 12, 13,
Yeah.
to wrap things up. And it's the holidays, so we're getting the like holiday lull episodes too.
Are they gonna take a
So
break?
I don't think so. But like just sometimes when they start releasing episodes in the holidays,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you know, they don't always they're
It's
more
not
focused on
always.
making it a holiday episode than making it an episode.
Right, 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 right.
Um but yeah, so that is our episode. Do you have any comments, questions, concerns?
I mean, my biggest thing is that it's obviously it was not great because it it ended in a oddly positive direction, but that
Mm-hmm.
was I expected that when I realized where it was in the time frame. Um, I'm mad at myself for ever having any
Positive thoughts about Arden.
positive thoughts about Arden. Um,
Uh,
I don't really know. I'm still so torn because like the alien shit is still so confusing to me. I still have no idea what on earth they're gonna do to wrap up Oliver's story when we know he's alive in the future. Like, I'm just very confused by a lot of where they're going with it. So,
yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Um,
I'm very sad
there's
that
no
Frank
way to
died,
know.
though.
I
That was
know. That was a
not
bummer. That
necessary.
was a real bummer. Yeah, and it wasn't necessary, but also like if you're not with them, you're against them type thing. So
Yeah.
she's having to take everyone out who's got any inkling that something bad is happening or wants to alert any type of authority. Um, yeah, it there is a quick break. So we have our episode that comes out December 12th, and then it's January 2nd, the next episode. So they do take a
Okay.
couple of like weeks for Christmas too.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, those are all fair. So in that case, who do you want to punch in the face?
Arden.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure I was going to end up picking him, but
I know.
fuck that guy.
He gets you every time. Um, yeah. Because you picked Arden, I'm gonna pick Santa, you know,
Valid.
killing
The
families and
actual
such.
villain of the episode.
Right, right. Um, and who is your MVP?
Hit.
Yeah, that's who I would have
Yeah,
picked
again,
too.
I wasn't really sure. There was so much happening in this
Hmm.
episode, and he really wasn't like stand out. But at the end of the day,
Yeah,
he's really the only person who like makes good choices.
that is 100% correct and fair. I would have also gone with him, but instead I will go with Jude because she is trying very hard to get the devil out of Briarcliff, even though she
Yeah,
wasn't
you
like
know.
great necessarily for Briarcliff. At least she wasn't like openly murdering people and
actually
feeding
the
them to
devil.
monsters. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So like,
Like she might have been a flawed woman, but she wasn't
yeah,
the devil or a Nazi. And since those are the other two options we currently
right.
have,
She's the best of the worst. So I'm gonna go with Jude. I have one piece of trivia fun fact for you,
love that.
which is probably very clear. If you've seen this movie, it was heavily influenced by the cult horror classic Silent Night, Deadly Night from 1984, which
Mm.
also follows a killer in a Santa suit who set out for revenge against the head nun of an institute who abused him. So it's,
I was not sure. I didn't know the movie, but I could tell it was trying to be an homage to something. I just didn't know what.
mhm. Yeah, I haven't seen the movie, but yeah, same. So that is all of my fun facts for you. I will tell you next week's episode is called The Coat Hanger, and that is your mini spoiler for next week. I will let
I
you run wild
hate
with where that's going.
everything about that. I can't
You're
think of
gonna,
a single way in which
mhm.
that would not be the worst thing I've ever seen.
It is possibly. So, um, stay tuned. It's gonna be a wild ride next week. I
Yeah.
do remember this episode, which says something because I never remember anything. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Good.
it's gonna be an episode. Um, but on that note, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, please feel free to email us, deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can find us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can find me at CECloud13.
And you can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And we will see you for our newly mini spoiler you got today episode of Sci-Fi Sunday Stargate.
Bye.
Yeah.